All right, yeah, we're taking a look at this Boudoir photography business today. Gonna see if it's got BSS for its local search or its city search on Google. And we're back here in the GBC universe where we're taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star here is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More on that pinned post, home video, pinned video, somewhere around here. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we got our FSIC graph here in white. Highest intent peeps on the left. These are peeps searching for both boudoir photo shoot in their city today. I focus on them and make videos about actually getting them to come to us. Here, videos about BSS. Over on the right, there's the lowest intent peeps. We talk about getting these peeps to come to us on our sister brand or sister channel, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor, where we talk about BLCS. And currently, over there, we only work with boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand per month in boudoir Facebook ads. So BSS, boudoir search sameness. That's when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. Both are bad. 0, extra bad. If we got 0 slots page 1, that means we're page 2 or deeper. And we know approximately 80% of Google searches never even hit page 2. So if we end on page 1, we're visible to approximately 80% of searchers, approximately 80% of buyers, approximately 80% of the market, so the bulk of the market. Bad, extra bad. Also, 1 slot page 1, that ain't good enough anymore. That's bad as well, because guess what? There's 9 other organic slots page 1. Probably going to be 9 other boudoir photographers there. So everyone's got 1 slot. We're looking the same as everyone else. Not standing out, not looking special. So boudoir buyer, what they're going to do is they're just going to click down, open everyone's website, opens everyone's website up and, literally get a quote, fill out everyone's contact form, get a quote from everyone, price shop, price compare, negotiate, waste everyone's time, blah, blah, blah. And, only 10% of the time we're going to get that person to buy from us. So that other 90% of the time we're wasting it. And 0-1 slots on page 1 Google is actually not normal. It's not normal to have such a small few number of page 1 links on Google search. But it is accepted and it is, commonplace, but it's not normal. It's actually a symptom of 2 deeper root causes. And I know this is normal because I went from 0 out of 10 slots, page 1 of Google search, to 9 out of 10 slots, page 1 of Google search in only 10 days utilizing this new methodology we developed. Now, these 2 deeper root causes here are 1, market saturation, 2, the false belief of page 1 equality. Market saturation, basically everyone knows about that. Over time, people get kind of new devices, new gear, new iPhone, new camera, and eventually people throw up their Google My Business profile, and then they now shoot boudoir, or they throw up their, website saying they now are a boudoir photographer, or they're posting them on Facebook groups that they now offer boudoir photo shoots. So it's more boudoir photographers competing for the same number of buyers makes it harder for every single boudoir photographer. Now, the false belief of page 1 equality, this is new to most people. Very, very, it used to be very common to accept this. Very common to accept that, every boudoir photographer is, gets 0-1 slots page 1 on Google, and either you get it or you don't, and it's not much you can do about it. And even if you had 1 slot on page 1 on Google, well, maybe there's some market saturation, and that slot, that slot goes away, or then you go down to page 2. Well, you got to kind of hope those people leave the market, and then hope Google puts you back on page 1. So it's kind of like a learned helplessness belief, but it's not true. We've learned it's not true because, again, I went from 0 out of 10 slots page 1 Google search to 9 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google search in only 10 days. So we know the false belief page 1 equality. Now we know that it is exactly that, a false belief. We also know that boudoir photographer with BSS is a disappearing boudoir photographer, DBP. And yeah, dude, if we're on page 2 or deeper, we're invisible to approximately 80% of the marketplace. If we're on page, and if we're on page 1, everyone else has got 1 slot on, all the other 9 competitors got 1 slot as well. So we're essentially invisible as well. So if we're on page 2 or deeper, we're dying fast. If we're on page 1 with 1 slot, we're dying slow. In both cases, we're disappearing boudoir photographer, which actually is kind of like the warning light, the red flag, the canary in the coal mine that tells us our boudoir photography business itself is actually on the path to disappearing. It's now starting down that path. Thankfully, we have discovered a solution though. We've discovered that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka S cubed methodology. And it works exactly as it says. You know, we saturate social search with the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords, making sure that we show up there. And what this acts like is basically like the snow at the top of the Andes Mountains, the eastern side, the backside of these Andes Mountains down in South America. The snow up there, what it does is it, all year it's melting into streams, melting, the streams, small streams, it's flowing into small rivers, but it all eventually comes to be collected in the Amazon River. That's where all the water actually comes from. And that page one in Google search is the Amazon River, but we got to first stuff, you know, SQ methodology. We got to first saturate, do social search saturation, put the snow up there at the top of the mountain, so then all those videos, links can flow onto page one in Google search. And this is the only solution I've seen for boudoir photographers that can actually enable them to grow during periods where the market's getting more and more saturated every day, and give them that opportunity in a relatively quick time frame. The only other solution I've seen a lot of people to do that is having a large, well-known brand, but that takes on average, 5 to 10 years. We ain't got 5 to 10 years anymore, dude. AI is here. We need results. We need a opportunity ASAP. And actually, interestingly enough, SQ methodology, by my estimates, can actually help those actually build a large, well-known brand approximately 8x faster than all these other kind of standard ways of doing it, just because we're doing more volume on more surfaces and showing up in the right places way more often over time. It's kind of like a double bonus of utilizing SQ methodology. So example now. All right, so we are right now going to, let's say, we're going to Boise, Idaho. And there are 1 million boudoir photographers in Boise, Idaho. We're one of them. Everyone's got a website saying they do boudoir photography. And as a result, everyone's website's trying to rank page one on Google as much as possible. Ultra competitive. We're like, man, we ain't got no large, well-known brand. Literally the only thing left that allows us to compete effectively is SQ methodology. So we decided to crank it to the max, like way more than a average boudoir photographer would. And let's say we're taking up the first, 300 slots of social search across all the social platforms, and then that flows onto Google search. And let's say we're taking up the first 300 organic slots on Google. Well, it's 10 organic slots, per page on Google. So we're literally taking basically the first 30 pages of Google. So whenever a boudoir buyer searches for us anywhere digitally, we basically got like the first 300 slots to ourselves. So we are, basically like, we're basically the only one they can find, whether they're searching social media, they're searching Google, basically the only one they can find. So in this case, they'd have to, scroll to slot 301, or would that be on Google page 31 to find us? And so in this case, whose business is growing? Whose boudoir photography business is growing? Most likely only ours, because we're basically the only one that can be found by buyers. And whose boudoir photography businesses are dying, disappearing, going invisible? Well, most likely the other 999,999 boudoir photographers competing against us in Boise, Idaho. And so this is, kind of an ultra example of what SQ methodology, kind of the opportunity it could give to a boudoir photography business, but this is like an ultra extreme version, ultra extreme example version. Now, once treated with SQ methodology, we have page one visibility. So yeah, we're getting more links page one Google search. And the second initial benefit we're getting is every new link we get on page one Google search, good for us. And we're actually kicking a competing boudoir photographer off page one, effectively making them invisible. This is awesome. So we can literally control how many of our competitors on page one of Google search are not organic by our effort in acquiring these organic Google slots. And it's good because these slots have some momentum, not infinite momentum, but they do have some momentum. Unlike Google PPC ads or any ads, that momentum goes to zero the instant you stop paying for them. And let's see. Yeah, so a lot of boudoir photographers like this. They're like kick their competitors off. And page one visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us, BSV. This is where the GBC Universe recommends hitting a minimum or having a minimum of 3 out of 10 slots page one Google search as the minimum. More is obviously better. But that's because basically every other Boudoir photographer is going to have one slot each on page one. So if we got 3, we're dominating. Everyone else has got 1. We're actually standing out, actually looking unique. And the super rare train, someone has 2. Well, we still got 3, so we're dominating them as well. So we're basically dominating in all scenarios here. We also know that Boudoir photographer with BSV is a visible Boudoir photographer, a VBP. So this is our micro universe here. A disappearing Boudoir photographer with BSS Boudoir search sameness is caused by the dual horns of market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. Thankfully, we now have a solution, thank the universe, SQ'd methodology. We use that to achieve page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer, and have boudoir search visibility. All right, so now my results utilize an SQ methodology. So I actually wanted to rank for this keyword, well, I want to dominate page one for this keyword, BLCS boudoir. So I went to work purely utilizing SQ methodology. And see my results. We're going down the organic slots. So organic slot 1, Instagram, me. Slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. Slot 10, me. And so I went from 0 to 10 slots, Google page 1, to 9 out of 10 slots, Google page 1 search in only 10 days, purely utilizing SQ'd methodology. And onto the main event here. And check out this boudoir photography business. Gonna see if their local search or city search, if they got BSS for either of them or both of them or what. So we're going to Haymarket, Virginia. Okay. Haymarket, Virginia. No, we're at DMV right now. Here's Haymarket. All right, let's see what we got here. So, all right, can't generate AI overview right now. All right, so we got 1. We got 2. We got 2. We got 3. All right. All right, we got 3. Nice. So good. So we do not have BSS, and we hit the recommended GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 slots, page 1 Google search. All right, perfect for a local search. That's good. Good start. Let's look at DMV. All right. See how many we got here. Let's see. Not seeing us at all. All right, so we are 0 out of slots, page 1 on Google for city search. So we do have BSS for city search, and we're not hitting the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots, page 1 for Google search. So if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer and you've actually gone and done the local search for the highest intent keywords for your locale, and you've also done it for your city, and you've seen that you got at least one of those has BSS, or you see that at least one you are not hitting the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots, page 1 on Google, then you're seeing this SQ'd methodology, like, yes, this is what I've been waiting for. Maybe you had been thinking, how can we get more slots on page 1 on Google? So maybe you'd already broken through the false belief of page 1 equality, but now you're like, yes, SQ'd methodology, that's what I've been looking for. Even though you kind of didn't know what to expect or what it would look like, but you decided, yes, SQ'd methodology is your way to move forward. So you're like, heck yeah. And you're also understanding the like the initial benefits of it. More slots, page 1. The 2 initial benefits: more slots, page 1 on Google, kicking more competing with photographers off page 1, off to page 2, effectively making them invisible to approximately 80% of the marketplace. And you understand the 2 prongs of market saturation. Getting new iPhone or getting new camera, so getting new gear, and you're looking ahead and you're saying, well, you understand AI is going to be taking a ton of people's jobs. So you're like, okay, that is actually going to be the biggest flood, the biggest force of more boudoir photographers into the marketplace, or people who are even those who are new to boudoir photography. Going to compress margins for everyone, lower prices for everyone, going to basically force more competition, page 1 Google search. And so you're saying, all right, I actually need to not only get this many links on page one, you also need to fortify your position right now in preparation for all the new boudoir photographers coming into the market after AI starts taking more and more people's jobs every single day. And you're seeing SQ methodology is also a perfect thing for that as well. It's kind of like building the levees in Nolens, Louisiana, where the city is below sea level. And so once that happens, you're like, or once you're basically seeing the future right now. So you're like, the more links, momentum you can build up to get page one links on Google, the higher chance that the new boudoir photographers never even reach page one, never even reach the links, on Google page one. And so when so you're seeing that, and SQ methodology is the way forward, and you want to increase the you want to achieve page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility, because you need those things in order to become number one boudoir photographer in your city. And you also understand kind of the long-term back-end benefits of successfully executing this SQ methodology every single day. And these successful benefits are, basically you're building up kind of these columns, these mindshare columns of peeps who are, kind of these invisible thematic keyword columns that actually, they're kind of like invisible. They're columns attached to the Parthenon in Athens are kind of like invisible columns, like hubs, hub and spoke model. So like spokes onto a hub. And these things exist kind of like as AI mindshare. So you understand the future benefits, which is actually the more we successfully execute methodology, the higher probability we're going to be sort of appear AI overview on AI search. And so that probability kind of builds and builds and builds every single day that we do successfully execute methodology. And also the same goes for backend search. Like AI search, like ChatGPT search, like we got Perplexity, Claude, we got Microsoft Copilot search, Google Gemini search, and you're seeing other feature benefits as we're successfully executing SQ methodology actually increase the probability we get a list on AI search for all those as well. So I know last time I searched for boudoir photographers in a city, ChatGPT, it literally recommended 3. And I actually went to go on Google for myself to look at, okay, how many are actually going to be, are actually out here? Dude, there's like 60, like Google Maps and Google Search all combined. And so it's like, all right, we got to do something to really increase the probability that we're increasing search here, that we get on these. Because I know I don't standard Google search anything. I'm always using the Google AI overview. And so I know, yeah, standard Google search is still like approximately 90% of all searches, all the search market globally. But dude, AI search getting bigger and bigger every day. So you're seeing that, and you want to actually get kind of those bonuses, those momentum of being shown in these, increase the probability gets shown in these searches. And as a result, you also understand that you decide to hop on this first because you'll be actually able to build a ton of momentum and separate yourself from all your competitors. Because I basically my plan currently is to only work with one boudoir photographer in each city. So you're seeing you can kind of close off your competitors from using this and put a massive gap between you and them before they even know what's going on, before they even know we've put in the effort to completely dominate page one Google search. And conversely, you're seeing that if one of your competitors actually, if one of your competitors actually hops on this first and works with me, well then you'd have to rederive SQ methodology on your own correctly. And when you do that, you would never be 100% confident if you did it, derived it correct or not. And what would actually happen is you'd have to equal our execution. And when you equal our execution, you would simply be maintaining the gap me and your competitor would have already built up, kind of above you or ahead of you. So you'd maintain that gap. You'd actually have to double or triple our daily output of execution of SQ methodology to close that gap, kind of pull that AI mindshare brain momentum for those invisible thematic keyword columns away from your competitor and me and back towards yourself. And so it's like, dude, who's got the 80 hours in a day to do all that? So you decide, screw that. You're going to be the number one first mover in your city. Lock the other peeps out. And so if that's you, shoot me a DM. My hospital is currently closed for new patient intake right now. So my DMs are currently closed. But when I do open up the hospital for new patient intake, then Show me a DM and we'll see if you qualify to utilize our S cubed methodology.